At the moment, Kenpachi Zaraki serves as the captain of the Gotei 13's 11th Division. He holds the position as the 11th Kenpachi. Yakira Kuzajishi served as his first lieutenant, and Kaku Madarame is his current lieutenant. Zaraki is a very tall, muscular Shinigami with the wild and aggressive appearance. He has a long face with pronounced cheekbones, and pronounced, hairless brow ridges. He has green eyes and long, stringy black hair. A noticeable trait in his appearance is a long, thin scar running down the left side of his face and across his left eye, inflicted on him by Retsu Anohana while he was still a child. In addition to the standard Shinigami Shyakusei ring, he wears white bandages across his midsection and a sleeveless captain's hari, which belonged to the previous captain and was taken after his defeat, which has a ragged look to it. He styles his hair into stiff strands during his baths, attaching small bells at its tips, and wears a special black eye patch over his right eye. During his first battle with Ichigo, the eye patch is more elegant, having a gold-like lining and a chain as one of the straps. He also wore a black choker necklace. Later, he removed the choker and gave his eye patch normal straps. 17 months after Aizen's defeat, Zaraki's hair has grown past his shoulders, and he no longer has the bells in his hair. His eye patch's design has changed again, as it is now a single piece covering his right eye and is black with a gray outline. Although he is known to be a violent fighter, Zaraki's actions tend to be for the best. Zaraki lives in battle and enjoys a good fight more than anything. He even holds back to make any fight last longer. He claims injury and death are nothing but the price one pays for a good fight. Despite his tendency to be brutal, Zaraki usually stops a fight if his opponent is too injured to fight back, is not interested in fighting weaklings who can't fight anymore, and does not feel obligated to deal a death blow to anyone who cannot fight any longer. However, he will unhesitatingly kill his opponent if they refuse to stop fighting, such as during his battles with Kenmta Ring-san and Neutral Gilga. He also takes his title as Kenpachi seriously, telling Grammy-Thumks that there is nothing the latter can create that he cannot cut because the power his title implies is not to be taken lightly. Zaraki strongly believes fun comes before work. One example is when Zaraki sends his fifth-seated officer, Yumakika, to fend off the bout in Karakura town, as he is the only high-ranking officer who is not busy, or rather, busy having fun, as Yakiru was snacking and Kaku was napping. During his free time, Zaraki always takes his afternoon nap. He does not have a particularly favorite dish, but he particularly hates not a ring. Zaraki regularly shows great respect to those who can push his limits or even defeat him. Ever since Ichigo Kurosaki handed him his first known loss since against Retsu Anohana, Zaraki has considered Ichigo a member of his division. Despite Ichigo's refusal to engage in a rematch with Zaraki as he considers him an ally, Zaraki constantly expresses his desire for it every time they meet. He also aided Ichigo in his fight against the Bound, doing so as it would make Ichigo stronger for their anticipated fight. Zaraki also holds great respect for Anohana, the only person he ever admired, as she was the first person to make him experience the thrill of battle, readily acknowledging they are very much alike, and is brought to tears at the thought of being unable to beat her before he dies. Upon inadvertently killing Anohana, Zaraki was reduced to screaming and begging for her to not die. Zaraki sometimes contradicts his logic in fighting. While wishing to grow stronger, he uses various methods to restrain his might to make this fight longer and tougher, including fighting with only one hand. Although he thrives on the battle, Zaraki is capable of showing complex emotions. Zaraki and his lieutenant, Yakiru, have been close ever since they met, and have a father-daughter-like relationship, making Yakiru one of the few people he cares for. However, he has stated if his subordinates interfere in his fights, he will cut them up first. Aside from Yakiru, Zaraki deeply gives meaning to his name. Following his fight with Ichigo, Zaraki talks about the pain of not having a name, as he lived his early years without one. This causes him to feel guilty that his sword is not acknowledged by its name. Since then, he has strived to learn its identity. After killing Anohana and knowing he could never cross blades with his admired foe again, Zaraki for the first time in his life felt remorse for his actions. This experience, combined with finally learning the name of his Zanpakutō ring, made Zaraki became somewhat calmer and more focused. Though he retains his desire to battle and is not overly interested in the details, he is more willing to listen to reason, having backed down from searching for his missing lieutenant on his own when Nanau's explained it would be more practical to have his division search. Likewise, he shows far more concern for Yakiru than previously when he discovers she is missing. Zaraki frantically orders his men to begin looking for her. Not having a name to go by for as long as he could remember, he eventually chose to take his surname from the district he once resided in, Zaraki, which was District 80 of the North Alley of Rakongai. District 80 was the worst, most lawless region of Rakongai, full of thieves and murderers, whereas Area Number 1 was the most orderly and law-abiding. As a young boy living in the streets of the Rakongai, Zaraki, coming upon the dead body of a Shinigami, took his Asaki, later imprinting his soul upon it to make his Zanpakutō ring. During that time, he eventually became proficient in swordsmanship and killed numerous opponents. Sometime during this, he, coming upon Yakiru Anohana, fought with her. The fight was the first time he felt fear, and subsequently the first fight he ever enjoyed. Having been bored slashing anything else, he subconsciously sealed his power to allow them to fight longer and consequently lost to her. After their fight, he began to admire her and wanted to fight like her. Sometime later, a young man, Zaraki, comes upon a young girl, named Yakiru, in remembrance of the only person he ever admired. After she showed no fear of his sword. Yakiru came from District 79, Kuzajishi, where her parents were murdered, seemingly not too long before Zaraki arrived. On that day, he took on a name, Kenpachi, the title bestowed upon the strongest Shinigami in every generation, the one who has slain the most enemies and won the most battles. Later, he had an encounter with Kaku Madarame and Yumika Yasukawa before they entered Sairite. Yakiru warned Kaku that messing with Zaraki while he was in a good mood was a bad idea, though Kaku did not take the warning seriously. When Zaraki and Kaku meet face to face, the latter immediately became alarmed by the former's Reiatsu but was happy to finally have a real challenge. Zaraki attacked with enough force to create a crater in the ground under Kaku, which somewhat alarmed Yumika. Due to Zaraki's strength, Kaku was forced on the defensive, holding off Zaraki's relentless strikes. As the two continued to fight, Kaku tried to overwhelm Zaraki, though he failed in doing so, only succeeding in increasing his wounds while his opponent remained untouched by his blade. While Zaraki mentioned he was having fun, he decided to finish Kaku with one quick strike, resulting in his loss of the fight. Kaku became mad that Zaraki would just walk away without finishing him off. Zaraki, plainly telling him he had no interest in weaklings who could not fight, noted he did not have any obligation to finish Kaku off. Kaku, thinking he was toying with him, demanded Zaraki kill him. Zaraki, losing his patience, grabbed hold of Kaku and asked why he was screaming for death if he loved to fight so much. Zaraki explained to him a philosophy to follow for people like them: don't admit defeat and seek death. Die first, then admit defeat. When you lose but don't die, it just means you were lucky. At those times, think only about survival. Survive, and think only about killing the guy who failed to kill you. Zaraki, smiling at him, stated it was not like he went easy on him, he was just lucky to escape death. He said Kaku should live, come back, and try to kill him again. As Zaraki went to leave, Kaku, asking him his name, is told he is Kenpachi from Zaraki. Sometime later, Zaraki killed Kenpachi Kiganjō, the captain of the 11th Division, in a single blow in front of over 200 members of the division. As per the third captain qualification trial, Zaraki became the new captain of that division. By killing the 11th Division captain, he became the official and uncontested holder of the title, Kenpachi, as well as becoming the 11th person to hold the title. The following day, during Zaraki's first address of his division, he was greeted by Kaku and Yumika, who had already become Shinigami and joined the division. Kaku told Zaraki he had come back just as he suggested, causing Zaraki to smile. Later, they were present at the battle of the division against a Caterpillar Hollow. While initially, the division lost, Kaku showed up to fight it but was stopped by Zaraki, who decided to kill it himself. After the hollow was dispatched, more came, prompting Kaku and Yumaka to join in the fight. Though at first, he was against it, Zaraki was persuaded upon realizing the two had similar fighting traits, and, as such, would like to fight by his side. After this, Zaraki allowed them to participate in his fights. Shortly after joining the Gotei 13, Zaraki was forced by Genryusai Shigekuni Yamamoto to learn Kende Ring because he had not learned any formal swordsmanship training, having bypassed those normally necessary qualifications due to the way he attained his position. Central 46 ordered Yamamoto to stop the training after one day, as they became concerned that if Zaraki realized his full potential and rebelled, he could become an unstoppable force.